going, guys? My name is Jared Myers, and today's interview is about to be very exciting, guys. Today we got another pro wrestler. It's been a little bit since we've done a pro wrestler. The last one was with Chris Van Vliet. An amazing interview, except the audio got a little messed up, but it's not this time. I got it under control, guys. Today's interview is with a former WWE superstar who had a match with Triple H in the beginning of Triple H's career. That's going to be an insane story that we're going to dive into. There's so much more good stuff. He's also a legend in the indie wrestling business. He was a former WLW world champion. Guys, without further ado, let's hop right into this interview. I know a lot of you guys are asking when the MGK interview is, guys. Yes, I got approved to do an MGK interview. I do not know the Pacific date. I don't know the exact date, okay? So basically, I got approved to it, and it is going to cost a lot of money, kind of, I don't know, it is what it is, but I'm getting 10 minutes with MGK. I'm super excited. I am just waiting for them to tell me the exact date. I don't know how they approved me, but I got approved, and I'm super excited and super blessed, and this is going to be going to be the biggest interview that I've ever done. So guys, don't worry, it will come when it comes. I'm super excited. I'm going to shove it down your guys' throat when it does come, so you will know when it comes. Sorry, just very excited. But anyways, guys, let's hop into this interview, because I'm super excited. I've been wanting to interview him for a while. I got two more WLW wrestlers that I really want to do, John Webb and Moses, so let's hop right into it. I'll see you guys at the end of this video. Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got Derek Stone on the line. Derek, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. What have you been doing during quarantine lately?
Well, I've kind of been, taking it easy. I moved back to Denver to take care of my parents. My parents are pretty old, so I've kind of been, doing that thing. And I actually have been working for Jefferson County, the Road and Bridge Department. So I like paved roads. So I've been working this whole time.
That's fun. Have you been doing any wrestling lately?
So I about the last couple months, I think, maybe only about 5 or 6 times this year, and really that was only for WLW in Missouri. But I haven't done not a lot of traveling, so I'd like to start though. Yeah.
And then how did you get started in pro wrestling, and who inspired you?
Who inspired me? Well, it was just really one of those things. It's a hard question to answer because it just sort of was this thing I always wanted to do. I remember being like 3 or 4 or 5 years old. I grew up here in Denver, and the AWA was really big. So we used to watch AWA every, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. And it's just something that I just knew I was always going to do that. So it just felt right. And then I kind of got into it really just, it was, I started back in like, in the early 90s, right? So back then it was really hard to get into the business still. There weren't wrestling schools on every corner. There weren't, wasn't the internet. There was, really hard to kind of seek it out. And the attitude was a little different back then too, where they kind of tried to keep people out of the business, you really had to really want it to be in it. So, I just started looking around everywhere, and I didn't really know where to go. At that time, there weren't a whole lot of independent wrestling shows, especially around here in Colorado, So my dad and I just started looking around, like in the back of bodybuilding magazines. You'd see, like every so often, you'd see an ad for stuff like that. And I wrote to Mike Shaw, who you might know as Norman the Lunatic from WCW. He's long past now. But he gave me some great information. I found some information on Brad Riggins' school in Minnesota. I ended up talking to just anybody I could find, and then found Charlie Fulton's wrestling school in Ohio. Charlie used to be one of the head trainers, and he's a longtime job guy for the WWF, really just maybe one of the best and most underrated wrestlers ever, so good. And you ask anybody, ask a Ricky Steamboat, ask a Randy Savage, they'll all tell you he was great. That guy was really great, So I just started getting a hold of just different places and kind of trying to figure it out. And I eventually went with Charlie's school, mostly because he was just so helpful. And this is something that I found out later. A lot of people in the wrestling business just really don't like each other. Everybody's got a little bit of heat with everybody. So Charlie is maybe one of the only people I've ever met that nobody ever said a bad word about. And I took that as like, here I was calling around different schools, and I was telling them who I was talking to. And every one of them said, "Oh, well, yeah, if you go train with Charlie Fulton, you're going to be good." Like every person. So his competitors were saying that about him, and I took that as a really good sign. And ultimately, yeah, it turned out great. He was a great trainer, and I learned so much, and it was awesome.
That's good. With your time in WWE or WWF, you got to wrestle people like R-Truth, Jake Roberts, and Doink the Clown, and even Triple H. Out of all those people you got to wrestle with, who did you have the most fun working with, and who do you think was like the best worker?
Oh, it depends on what you mean by best worker. When I wrestled Triple H, he had just got there. I mean, this was if you remember, he had Sable as his manager for a little while, right? So this was even before that.
Huh.
This was like 2 TV tapings before that. So he had just got there. So the Triple H that I wrestled was not the Triple H that Triple H became. He was still Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He was still a little skinny. But he was really good. The worst by far, I'll give you that because I dislike him, was Doink the Clown.
Really?
And that was Ray Apollo. That was not Matt Bourne. This was, towards the end of the whole Doink thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Dink with him, and he was just a real jerk. He purposely was like not great and tried to hurt job guys. And in fact, one of the nicest things that's ever happened to me in the WWE is that he did his whoopee cushion finish, where he jump on, right? He landed really heavy on my ribs, like really heavy, could have broken them. And I'd been there, every month for several years, and they just shoot his ass. And that made me feel really good. It was like, oh yeah, I'm just this job guy who's here and I don't have a contract, but they recognize my value and we're all over him because he was a piece of shit. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know if I can cuss. I'm sorry about that. The best, it was the most fun matches that I had. There was just something about the Jake Roberts match that it was really super easy and really fun. And the snake got dropped on me. And so I always had that visual of this gigantic, it was like, man, I can do anything. If I can have this, gigantic python right here on my face, I'll be all right, with anything that comes up in life, So it was cool. That was cool. Our Truth match was really good. S.A. Rios, I loved that match. That was a lot of fun. That one has some special significance for me because my parents didn't really get to see me wrestle very often. I was off and I moved away and I was traveling all over. So that was a match that was the last time I actually worked for the WWE. And my mom got to see me at the Pepsi Center. And she's maybe only seen 3 of my matches live, maybe. And that was one of them. So that one to me means a lot. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool. Did you ever get to meet Vince back when you were working with them?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Really?
All the time.
What's he like as a person? Does he like, because he has that heel character and you can barely ever find interviews of him. No one really knows how he really is. Does he care a lot about people or like?
Well, I can tell you this. I was, like I said, he knew my name. I was a job guy and I was a guy that was, always said hello to me and hello to me by name after I'd been there maybe 6 months or so. So that tells you a lot. Here's the guy that's the most important guy in this company.
Oh, yeah.
And he managed to, okay, who is that? He had his finger on the pulse of everything that's going on in that company. So to me, that was always really, really impressive. And you can say what you want about his personal dealings and all of these things, but he was very much involved. It was very much his baby. And all you had to do was just watch him and you could see that. Very much involved everywhere. So for me personally, he was always really nice. But again, I was in a position where there was never any reason to not be nice to me. You know what I mean? I came in, I did a good job for him. I was really friendly, always on time, never hassled anybody. So of course he's going to be nice to me,
Yeah, that's good to hear. During your independent wrestling run, is there a certain feud or match with a wrestler that you look back on and you were like, that was really good? Like, did you have a feud that just tops it all for your career?
There's a couple that I really enjoyed. There's plenty of guys around the Midwest that I've worked with just hundreds of times. I had some really great matches with Craig Kiesman, who's now Niles Planck, for years. I had a really great series of matches with Mark Sterling, who is kind of inactive now, but Mark was always really, really good. And we had a really good chemistry. and he worked the way I like to work, which is very aggressive. He was very physical, and but he was also very safe and very competent, and could work on the fly, and just really had really solid chemistry with him. So I really enjoyed those matches. I had some really good matches with Steve Sharp, who was known as the Atomic Dog, who is now an actor who you'll see in a ton of movies, named Bishop Stevens is his name. And I probably worked with him every week for like 3 years somewhere. If I wasn't working with him, I was working with Ace Steel, and those matches were always really good. But a lot of that stuff I wouldn't necessarily say they were feuds, because they were in different promotions kind of all over the country, or different parts of the Midwest or the West. So those were all pretty good. I had some really fun times with everybody that I worked with in WLW. Recently, had some really fun matches with some really young guys like Moses the Deliverer, Moses Powell, Colton Vaughn. I think CTV is really good. All those guys that I work with now in WLW, I think, are all going to be guys in a couple years you're going to see a lot from. So I'm honored to work with, on the very, 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 very end of my career. I'd like to say that it was nice to work with some of those guys and pass something on to them, because I really enjoyed that.
In your opinion, so I know Moses, he is so talented, and the crazy thing is he's so young. He's like the same age as me. We were in the same grade in high school. He's like 21, and he is now. You put him over. You made him the youngest WLW World Champion in history. What do you think? What do you think he does so good that makes Leland look at him and go, okay, he's the guy at such a young age, when there's other people who might be older, been there longer? Like, is there a certain thing that Moses, because you got to work with him, does he have a certain thing that's just so good about him that he perfects, that gets the attention of the booker to be like, that's the guy?
Well, okay, first of all, he got himself over. Okay, yeah. I might have been in the ring there with them, but the guy really works hard, and he deserves all the credit for all of that. So, but I would say that the biggest thing about Moses that I really like a lot is you never hear that guy didn't go to training. Like, he never missed a training day. He was always interested in feedback from everybody about things, and could take things here or there. I remember seeing him on a couple of times when I didn't work with him, and he'd wrestle with somebody else. And as soon as he got done with his match, he came back and immediately was looking for feedback from Leland. Like, a lot of those guys are like kind of worried. Oh my God, I might have screwed something up, or whatever. And he doesn't have that attitude. He said, maybe something didn't work right there. Why didn't it work right? That's his immediate response. And that's something that's, you either have that or you don't. You can kind of shy away from it and just be like, oh man, that was awful, and I want to just go home and cry or something, or you can say, all right, what did I do wrong? And immediately think that's never going to happen again. And I think that's the attitude that he has, and I really like it. Plus, he's just easy to get along with, and just very, very willing, to learn. He has a horrible body. He needs to work on that, but other than that, I think he's top notch,
One thing you said that was really interesting to me is, and I want your opinion. Do you think it's changed from back in the when you started versus now? Because you said a lot of the wrestlers back then, they didn't really want you in the locker room. I've noticed out of all the sports I've done throughout my life is that I've never met more nicer people than in pro wrestling. Like, every other sport I've done, they were just jerks. I go to pro wrestling and everyone is so nice. They want to help. They want everyone to look good. Why do you think that is?
I think, well, first of all, I think that, like, once you're in, right? So once people have accepted you and you kind of proven yourself, then everybody's pretty cool after that. And I have I may have met a lot of people that maybe I wouldn't be best friends with, but I can't tell you anybody that I have like any real heat with or whatever. I think it's just, some of that happens to be me and my personality, but I think a lot of that is just, there's a mutual respect there, so people will give that to you. So if you're a guy that you're around and you're working with people, then that's gonna be noticed, and that's gonna have a certain amount of respect, as to where maybe other places they're looking to knock you down a peg. Everybody is competition about everything, and so maybe that's it. When I first started, and I want to clarify a little bit, and people were hard on me. It was really tough when I started, but that was because they loved the business, not because they were jerks. You know what I mean? They're protecting what they really cared about. So, it could come across maybe as a little gruff or a little this, but really it was out of love,
Yeah. Mhm. And looking back on your career, do you have any regrets on your career or anything you would want to do differently at all? Or are you pretty
Oh, there's
satisfied?
hundreds of things that I would do differently, sure. But, you can't get too wrapped up in that because of the circumstance. I feel like most of the choices that I made were the right choices for what was going on in my life at the time. You know what I mean? My priorities and, when I first started, I moved to Dallas and worked for Global when I probably should have moved to Atlanta and tried to work for WCW. I felt like I wasn't ready, and maybe I would go and work for them first and then go over. I was ready. I should have. But, ultimately, it worked out okay. And it worked out, you do the best you can with the circumstances you had. I wasn't going to leave my wife and go live in Memphis in a trailer because my wife and my, family and life was important to me. Right. So I had to figure out a way to balance both those things. So, yeah. So would I have done things differently to enhance my wrestling career? I could have. Yeah, probably. Would that have made my life any better? I don't know. I don't think it would. So I can't really say that I regret anything.
And you did say that you said you're coming to the end of your career. What is your future for your career, and how many years do you think you're gonna keep
Oh,
doing it?
geez. I might have like 20 minutes left, maybe. So as soon as this interview's over, it might be it. No, it's funny. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to say I'm going to retire. I mean, I might be retired right now. I just might not take another booking, and I'd be okay with that. Probably that's not the case. Something will come up. But I hate these guys that make these big retirement speeches and, I'm going to retire and I'm this and that. And everybody throws a big party for them, and then they come back 6 months later.
Yeah.
I will never be that guy. I promise you, I will never be that guy. When I go away, I'm just going to go away, But as far as how much I have, there are other priorities in my life now that are more important than wrestling, truthfully. So if I can make things fit in pretty well, then I'll do it. I do want to do some things out here in Denver. I love Rocky Mountain Pro, if you haven't watched any of them. And I love the Primos, Colorado Springs Wrestling. There's like some really good, talented folks out here that are less than an hour from my house, So I'm going to definitely probably do some things there. I do see myself continuing to help with training and things. I don't know that I'm not going to do that full time necessarily, but I don't think that I'll ever stop doing that because I think that teaching is one of my skills. I'm good at that, and I know what I'm talking about. So if I can convey and that helps the wrestling business, that's what I want to do.
Oh, and then my final question for you is: do you think you'll ever have a match with John Webb before you're done with WLW?
With who? I'm sorry.
John Webb.
Oh, I would love to again. I really have. So here's the thing that, it's not a regret necessarily, but that is a guy I'm easily 15 years past my prime, easily. So I would have really liked to work with a guy like that when he was going to Japan and when he went to Italy and when he was on the top of his game. I really think that we could have done a lot of really, really great things. I certainly, if I got a call right now from Leland saying you want to work with John Webb, I'd do it in a second. So that I'm sure it'll probably happen. I hope it does.
Oh yeah, he was my trainer in 2017. He's out of everything, he's the best trainer ever. He's so nice. He cares. He really helps you and is super involved. Like I had a blast working with him. So I hope he keeps.
I hope so too. One of the best things about John, and that's how you can tell somebody that really cares about the business and it is a good trainer. He wasn't trying to get over on you, right? He's trying to let you know this is how things are. And then this is, here's, I want you to learn, right? I want you to get better. Ultimately somebody like that. And I feel like that's sort of a WLW attitude in a lot of ways. Is like, look, if I train you, you're a reflection of me. So I have to do things the right way and you have to learn things the right way. And so that's how I can, to this day, I have respect from people that are in the WLW family that I've never met just because I was there for whatever. And a lot of things that are taught there were things that I instilled in people from other people who instilled things into me. Right. So it makes sense that you would have that attitude about John, because he definitely has that, just get better. And he's patient, and he's a kind person, and he's a great guy. And by the way, lately, I don't know if you've seen him, he has an amazing beard. His beard looks great right now. It's not as good as this one, but it's getting there, you know?
Yeah. Whenever I remember, he used to only have like a little goatee for a little.
Yeah, right. Just a little patch right there, right?
Yeah, and now he's got a full on. Oh, hey, thank you so much for doing this interview with me, Derek.
Oh, absolutely, man. Good luck to you, and anything I can do for you, you let me know, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Man, what a nice guy, dude. Derek, thank you so much for joining me and being on the show, guys. Before anything, guys, I want to let you know I have this vision board on my thing. I think all of you guys should do this. Create a vision board. I think I should go over it one day. I got basically my goals, like me reminding myself positivity stuff that you guys should all remind yourself in. I got a bunch of my goals that I really want to do. I got a bunch of rules, and then I will be the greatest social media influencer 2021. Anyways, guys, without further ado, I really want to achieve that one, the Mr. Beast challenge. But, guys, make sure to smash the thumbs up button down below, guys. I had a blast talking to Derek. I hope you guys had a blast listening to it. And next week, hopefully we can crank out some more interviews, guys. Make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will see you guys all later. Peace.